Hello class, I just wanted to update you on quite a few things that are going on right now, and I thought it would be much easier to do so via video announcement rather than an email. First of all, let me just start with the email that I sent last night. Note that you will be getting an email, or you should be getting an email about course evaluations. And just as I said in the email, I do take them seriously. And obviously, I'm not going to know who filled out the evaluations at all, and then I won't get the results until after the semester is over, just so you know. And that's the truth for all of your evaluations. It's done by a separate institution at ASU, and they're moving them all online. Even in your face-to-face classes, if you have any at all, the evaluations are also online. Okay, now to discuss a bunch of different things. First of all, I wanted to discuss as much as I can. I think I still have one student who has to take exam 2, but overall, the results were good. The range was from 65% to a 95% on exam 2, so it's 48 point, or excuse me, well, it was 65. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a 48-point range because it was that threw me off for a minute. Low of 104 points, a high of 100, I think 52 points if I could read my own handwriting. 14-point standard deviation, so a decent sized spread. The mean score was an 81.7%, okay, so a low B. And the median score, the middle score, was actually a little bit lower, an 80%. But again, we're still looking at, B's for measures of central tendency, which you guys are going to learn pretty soon. So that's pretty good. It was bimodal distribution as well. So we had 2 modes. Modes is the most frequent. So 120 points, so an 80% was a mode, and then 92.5% was also a mode. So those were the most frequent scores for the exam. So again, pleased with those results. Now, if you did not do well, okay, on the exam, you need to communicate with me. Unfortunately, I can't, email every student. I teach 5 classes, so it's impossible for me, time-wise actually, to just like email individual students and kind of like, ask them where they're struggling, etc. That's not how it's handled. What you need to do is you need to contact me, and you need to say, I'm not understanding this material, I'm struggling over here, can you explain this to me a different way, etc. And then I'd be more than happy to help you. More than happy to do that, but you do need to kind of take the initiative and contact me, and I'd be happy to help you. Also, maybe students that are doing very well in the class, would be able to help as well. I know that very recent research indicates that peer-to-peer teaching sometimes is more effective than instructor student teaching. And basically they're saying that you guys are your own best teachers. And I think that the research is compelling with that. So perhaps, if a couple of you that did very well and you've been doing very well, just say, hey, I could help out. Maybe you can send out an email or post something on the discussion board. I'll have a new post for this week. Under the questions about the material, you can post something there. And again, they can't help you on the exam. They're not going to do your work for you, but just another resource that perhaps you can use to help you get through the last exam and the last few assessments. So consider it, okay? On the posting number 2, the average score is a little bit lower, which makes sense because that's more application based. And so I know with like multiple choice exams, true, false, I mean, you have a chance just by luck, right, random luck, to get the questions right. Okay, there's always just that percentage of probability that we can actually calculate. But on the application part, you can't do that. So scores are always a little bit lower on that. So for posting number 2, the average score was a 76.8%. Okay, so a high C. The modal score, though, was a 92. It was 92%. If you have questions, we do have comments on your posts, and I know a couple of you just emailed me and said, hey, I'm curious as to what I got wrong. Just go ahead and email me, and I can give you those comments. We didn't individually post them, but if you are interested, please don't hesitate to just drop me a line, and I'd be more than happy to give you your comments back. For posting number 3, originally I was going to have it due this week, and it was going to be on content analysis, document analysis. But after looking at the final exam, I think it might serve you better if I did a math one, because we're going to be doing some statistics next week. And so we're going to hold off on posting 3 until next week. So you're not going to have a post this week. The only assessment you have this week is going to be quiz number 5. Okay, and let me just give you the stats for quiz 4. A low of 70. I can't read my own handwriting. This is really bad. Like a 75 to a high of 100%. The median score was a 74%. The median score was at 75%. Standard deviation was about 6 points. So again, those were a little bit lower, solid C's. But again, you only have 8 questions. So there's, if you miss one, then that really brings down your grade there. What was I going to say? Okay, so I gave you the stats for exam 2. I gave you the stats for quiz 4. If you're struggling with the material, you have to let me know, and that you want, you'd like some extra help. You do have to be specific as to what is confusing to you, what isn't making sense. Please go ahead and post it. I'll have a link for questions about the material for this week posted there. And this week, again, we're going to be talking about document analysis, content analysis. I did a lot of content analysis, and that's, when you're using different forms of political communication, this is the methodology that's relied on usually. So if you're looking at, you want to analyze news shows and see how frequently the news reporters mention Sarah Palin's appearance, for example. And what you conduct is something called a content analysis. You get the transcripts of the news shows, or you watch the news shows, and then you count explicit mentions of maybe certain words that you're looking for that they talk about. Beauty queen, attractive, sexy, beautiful, just different words that you would have a code sheet, then you would count for those mentions. And that's called manifest content analysis. Another type of content analysis is called latent content analysis. And with latent content analysis, as I say in my my PowerPoints, it's when you're trying, it's more subjective, it's when you're trying to determine the tone of something. So is it negative? Is it, is Sarah Palin cast in a negative light? Is she cast in a positive light? And so that's a more subjective assessment, but latent and manifest are both done within content analysis. With document analysis in general, historians are more likely to use the more episodic documents, and you're going to learn about that episodic versus the running record, which is more systematically kept, and which really political scientists that study American politics are more likely to use the running record as opposed to the episodic record. And once you read about this in the book and you listen to the audio notes, I think it's going to make more sense. But if you have questions about that, again, please don't hesitate to ask me, because this is a lot of the type of methodology that I've used in work that I've done. Any other questions, feel free to email me. A couple of you did, and I'm going to get back to you today. And again, for this week then, it's just quiz 5, which is only on chapter 9. Okay, and it's a short chapter, so you get a little bit of a breather, but don't get too comfortable, because our final exam is going to be big. I mean, it covers a lot of material. That's what I mean by big. Oh, and I was going to say, I will post all of the quiz to help you study. This isn't like too easy for you guys, but to help you study, I was going to post all the quiz keys for you, not the exams. I don't give out my exams, but I'll give out quiz keys, just so you kind of have that as another studying tool in addition to the very detailed review study guides that I give you as well, because I'm hoping that will help you. Um, Study. What else was I going to say? I think that's it. Any other questions? Don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you.